What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing the part 2 for my sort of fantasy palettes series. That's kind of like my tentative name for it. I still haven't really decided what I want to call this, but for now I'm calling it my fantasy palette series. In this series I go through my palettes and I find shadows that I think will come together to create a color story based on characters from TV shows, movies, in this case video games. The idea behind this is basically if a brand were to come out with palettes based on these characters, what would I want them to look like? Now, I am working within the limits of what I have in my collection, so I can't just be like, oh, I wish that it would have this shade in the palette or whatever, because maybe I don't have that. With that being said, I am using, pre-existing shades from several different brands, so it's kind of like a Frankenstein's monster of different shades from different palettes to create these color stories. And here I am, Dr. Frankenstein. Let me just tell you really quickly what's on my face, by the way, because I like it. I think it's great. Actually, you probably would have seen this if you saw my video on Sunday, because I talked about this briefly in that video. But I am wearing the Nomad Cosmetics Verona palette. This bad boy is gorgeous, for one thing. This is the color story. I did a 1 week, 1 palette video with this palette. So for 7 days straight, I did 7 different looks with this one palette, just to really explore the palette and get to know what you can do with it and kind of showcase that. But in addition to that, I am wearing a few things that you might have seen if you saw my Unearthly Cosmetics old branding mystery box video. So all of these products say Alien Cosmetics on them because that was their old brand name. But check that video out if you want to see the rest of what I got. But I am wearing this beautiful blush here, which I actually am quite impressed with. It's really, really beautiful. It's called Gigi, and this gorgeous highlighter called Danny. It's like when I first opened it, I thought looking at it on camera that it was like kind of green, but in person it's not. And honestly, I'm looking at it now, it doesn't look green on camera here either. It's more of like a really pretty kind of golden highlighter. And then on my lips I have this gorgeous like fiery orange red called Minerva. So I kind of based my look off of these products because I knew that I wanted to use them. Anyway, in today's video we are going to be continuing my Mortal Kombat palette swap ninjas series, I guess you can call it. I'm going to be creating color stories based on the palette swap ninjas from Mortal Kombat, obviously. In the first video we did 3 ninjas, the original 3 palette swap ninjas: Sub-Zero, the original Sub-Zero, Bihan, Sub-Zero, Scorpion, Hanzo Hasashi, and Reptile. So yellow ninja, blue ninja, and green ninja. I kind of kept the color stories sort of monochromatic. Well, I guess Scorpion's color story wasn't super monochromatic. It had some kind of orangey things going on as well as the yellow. But is that still monochromatic? Kind of, right? For this video though, I wanted to switch it up. I want to do less monochromatic color stories for the characters that we're going to be doing today. I have a challenge ahead of me because I'm going to be doing 4 characters today, because in the second Mortal Kombat we were introduced to the female palette swap ninjas. Those characters include Kitana, her clone Melina, and Jade, who is Kitana's bodyguard. But we meet another character in this game who is technically kind of treated as being sort of like a returning character, but in the context of the actual story and mythology, he is actually another character. So we talked about Sub-Zero in the first video. That Sub-Zero, Bihan, the older brother, is killed by Scorpion in that tournament. In Mortal Kombat 2, I know this series is very geeky, don't freak out on me, you guys, that's the whole point. In the second Mortal Kombat, a new Sub-Zero shows up and everybody thinks that he's Bihan, but then he's eventually unmasked or whatever, and they realize that it's Bihan's younger brother, Kuai Liang, who is also a cryomancer and can freeze stuff. There are other characters that I could technically include in this. I'm pretty sure Smoke was a secret character in the second game, so I could do him, but I'm going to save him for later. And then I'm also going to do the sort of like error characters, if that's what you want to call them. We'll be talking about those two characters in the next video, as well as Smoke and Rain. But let's get started, you guys. Let's start with Kitana. Kitana is my favorite female character in the game, and she's just one of my favorite characters in the story in general. But we have a challenge ahead of us, friends, because I have to come up with a blue color story for this character that is going to be different from both Bihan's color story, the first Sub-Zero, and Kuai Liang's color story, who we're going to be doing later in this video. But I have ideas, I have thoughts, so let's get into it. I want to jump right in to looking at this palette. So this is the Midnight palette from Beauty Bay, and I have some thoughts. I'm going to swatch some things. So I'm looking at these mattes, and I'm trying to kind of determine what would be best for Kitana. Let me see. I'm going to look at some more. I'm really liking that. I don't know why, but that just seems to give me Kitana vibes. I don't know. That bottom one there. I don't know. But I also like that this one has a slight tinge of like a kind of greenish thing going on. But what do you guys think? Ooh, I don't know. Honestly, even this one. I think... It's a tough decision, you guys. You know what? Let's swatch some shimmers from this palette, and then we'll go back to that sort of base matte. In case you haven't noticed, as I'm doing this, I'm treating like the first matte as like the base color for the palette, because I'm basically trying to come up with a matte shadow that I personally think matches the look of the character's costume, because the costume is so important. Okay, I'm thinking thoughts. I don't want to overthink any of these. I don't want it to be like super complicated, right? I think I'm gonna go for this blue. I gotta look at what the names are, and this blue shimmer. Cerulean, which is the matte. Potion is the shimmer. Okay, friends, so that's the matte and the shimmer swatched out on my arm. I feel like in terms of depth, they're very similar. So I'm gonna have to do probably a light shimmer and a deep dark matte. What do we think? Okay, so I actually think I know what I want the next shade to be. In the original games, Kitana's fans... Oh, I didn't give any background for the character. I feel like I gave background for the characters in the first video. Kitana is the sort of adopted daughter of Shao Kahn. It's more complicated than that, but it's kind of a rough story. And she ends up turning on him and joining the good guys in the story, because Shao Kahn is not a good guy. And she comes to realize that eventually. But her powers in the game are, she kind of has like wind-based powers, essentially. And she has two fans. Oh, I should go get my fans. Hold on one second. I just got my little one. I do have a bigger one, but I didn't want to be too dramatic. And also, this is a lot more aesthetic for what we're doing. She has two Chinese fans. They have like blades on them, and she'll like throw them and use them to slice and dice people. And I want to represent that in this color story. So in the original games, her fans were a silver color. They can kind of vary now. There's a lot of different versions of what she can look like now. But they were definitely like a silver or like a metallic color in the original game. I basically know exactly what I want to use, and it's this shadow here in Circo Loco. Aerialist is the name of it. This is Circo Loco from Natasha Denona. I think this is a gorgeous shadow, and I'm just gonna take it and I'm gonna put it right with the other ones. We need kind of a lighter shimmer, right, to make this color story work. Look at that. I think that goes so beautifully with the other ones. Very, very nice. Now the question is, what do I want to do for the final shade in this color story? Again, I don't want it to be super monochromatic or anything, so I don't want to revert back to like the blue. But I'm kind of thinking, I mean, we got our silver here, which is awfully nice. I also don't want this to be too similar to what I end up doing for Kuai Liang, the second Sub-Zero. So how am I gonna do this with the final matte shade? What am I gonna do? I don't technically have to do a matte. There's no like rule to this that says that I have to do a matte, but I want to. I want, at least for most of these, I want to do 2 mattes and 2 shimmers. I feel like that's a good strategy for doing quads. I kind of feel like I want like a gold. I know this is a shimmer and I literally just finished saying that I want a matte, but I'm just gonna swatch this really quick because this is a little bit on the deeper side. I guess it's not that deep, but I'm considering putting something like a gold in this color story. Wouldn't that just switch it up? The shade here, I'm just gonna swatch it. Oh, whoa, it's really, really soft. It's like a super shock. It's called Tiger. The one that I just swatched was called Honey. This one is called Tiger. I just made such a dent in it. It's literally creamy as hell. Wow. I'm gonna swatch it. It's really, really pretty. It has like these really nice reflects. Wow. I can't use that in this color story though. As much as I would like to. I don't think that that will work for this color story. I don't know, will it? Does that go with Katana? No, I don't think it does. I'm thinking I want to close this color story out with something a little more... I just realized I haven't been writing down the names. I know what all these shades are though. A little more... like a cool tone neutral. I'm going to swatch this. This is from Troublemaker from ColourPop. I'm going to put this on the back of my hand. This palette is so nice. Just in case you were unaware, Troublemaker is such a nice palette. Look at that. Honestly, not to be like too impulsive, but I really think that that might be the shade that this palette needs. Because it's like this gorgeous charcoal. It's like not black, but it's not gray. And you know what? I think if you shear it out a bit, that didn't really work. I was trying to smudge it around with my hand, with my finger. You know what? Let's be wild. I'm gonna just say the shade from Troublemaker. I feel like that gives just the right amount of uniqueness to this color story and kind of indicates the darker aspect of the character of Katana, because things get dark for her. I like that. I think that's really cool. What do you think? I didn't realize how late it was already. I do have some things that I have to do, so I gotta get this done. So next, we're gonna be doing Melina. Melina is Kitana's clone, who she believed for a long time was her twin sister. But she's actually a clone created by Shang Tsung, the sorcerer, in his flesh pits. He created her using Tarkatan blood. Tarkatans are these ugly, scary looking things with weird, ugly teeth, and they have like blades coming out of their arms. If you want to know what a Tarkatan is, look up Baraka. But yeah, Melina is technically part Tarkatan because for some reason Shang Tsung made her using Tarkatan blood, and so she's all gross under her mask. And she's also batshit crazy. So her color scheme is kind of a pink, purple sort of a color scheme. So we're going to be playing with berries from Beauty Bay, among other pinky palettes that I have. I want to swatch this one, Rosewood, because it actually looks kind of close to what her outfit looks like. That's nice. I like that one. I also want to swatch Journal, which is this one here. I think that's a little bit too... If I do a purple, I think I want a more cool toned purple, because I'm thinking in the second game she looks kind of pinky purple, a little more pink, a little bit more like that top color. But then in the third game she kind of becomes more cool toned purpley. I know this is like so weird to think about. I'm like trying to remember what these characters look like in different games. But yeah, I don't know about that deeper one. Some of these are a little bit too red for what she looks like. You know what though? I want to take some of the shimmers in here and give them a little try. Yeah, so these ones here are too red. This one is pretty cool. I feel like you can't see this bottom one. I swatched it with my pinky, so it's like that one. I mean, that one could make a nice inner corner. Should I go crazy and just say this is in the palette? I do really like it. That's gonna be it for this one, at least for now. Go back to that later. But I want to look at, let's go into Bright 2.0. Ooh, see this one, this kind of pinky purple? It's called Rom-Com. I'm gonna swatch that. I want to swatch it on this hand so that I can compare it to the other. Wow. Wow, honestly, now that I'm looking at that, maybe that. Oh, I really like that. I think that looks a lot like what she looks like in the game, actually. I was thinking this one, but now that I'm seeing that, I feel like that's even closer. It's more cool toned. I'm going to swatch a few more shades, like maybe that. I don't know, let's just swatch them on the other hand. Okay, I just swatched Shock and Satin, the two down on the end here. Okay, so that's actually more like, that's more like Thumper from Twisted Metal. Yeah, those are more warm tone. I really am leaning towards this guy. See, good thing I didn't make the decision before I swatched more palettes. I like that a lot. I'm going to swatch Fig, this one here. It looks like it's going to be really similar to the one that I swatched from the Berries palette, but I just want to see them next to each other. It's pretty similar. Just a couple more palettes that I want to look at quick before I decide on the mattes. Okay, so this down here, Caddy in Ooh La La from ColourPop, I want to take a swatch of that. See, that is cooler and more accurate to what I'm trying to do. And I think it goes nicely with this one. But Fine Feathered is a palette that I really want to take a few swatches from before I make any final decisions. I'm going to swatch all. That shadow is so nice. All of the mattes on this bottom row. Actually, I'm going to swatch one of the ones from the middle row as well. I absolutely love this shadow here because it's like an actual like deep pink. It doesn't turn purple, it's a pink. All right, so these are the shadows that I just swatched. They're all really nice. There's so many options, what the hell? I have a lot of pink in my collection. All right, I'm gonna make a decision here. I'm definitely gonna go with Rom-Com. I forgot what it was called. That's gonna be like our base sort of color. Okay, so that's our starting point. Now I'm trying to pick a dark matte, although should I even be picking a matte yet, or should I be picking a shimmer? You know what, I think I'm gonna go with, I think I'm gonna pick a matte because I want to have my mattes picked out. I'm gonna do, the mattes are gonna be like the pink shades, and then I'm gonna switch it up a little bit with the shimmers. I don't know if this is the best option, but I'm gonna go with Nest Egg from Fine Feathered because this is such an incredible shadow. I love this so freaking much. Maybe it's not the deepest shade that I could have done. It's definitely not the coolest, but look at that color. That is so stunning. It's so freaking beautiful. I love it. Okay, so to switch it up a little bit for the shimmers, I actually really want to do some gold for the shimmer. And you might be like, what? Gold? Why? Honestly, I'm kind of thinking more of like the later games. Like I'm thinking of her Khanum outfit from Mortal Kombat X. And, you know, she wears like a gold, not quite a crown, but like something kind of like that. And she has a lot of, in that game specifically, she has a lot of like gold accessories and stuff. So I want to go in with some gold. Okay, so it is later than I thought it was. My husband just came home and told me what time it is, so I'm only going to be able to finish this one today. Well, unless I do more later tonight, but I am going to have to stop. But let's finish this one. So this one's from Beauty Bay. Gorgeous. Really gorgeous. It's from the Bright 2.0 palette. It's called Nectar from up top here. Let's go back into the Fiery 2.0. because I want to look at this one again. It's called Tiger. It's so creamy. That, it has a little bit of like that pink thing going on. I might use that. I might throw that in here. I think that would be cool. Seriously considering that one. And then this one is Honey again, the one on the bottom. Definitely nice as well. I'm really thinking I might be using Tiger, because I feel like that will go really well with this. Should I even keep looking? I think that that is delightful. I think it goes really nicely. I think that the shift is really nice and goes really beautifully. Look at that. Look how cool that is. I actually love that. Okay, so to finish this off, I'm thinking that I want something maybe like this. This is OMG from Or Kid You Not by ColourPop. It's that middle shade there. It has almost like a neutral base, but then shifts with that pink purple. I feel like that is very akin to the way that Tiger is. May have swatched these things a little bit too close together, but look at that. Okay, let me show you like this. I like that. I like that it's not super monochromatic, but it does still kind of stick within that semi-monochromatic realm. You know, not playing it too super safe, but also not completely deviating from the idea. Okay, folks, so I am actually going to have to take a little break from this and come back in a little bit. I'm going to go do whatever the hell I have to do right now, and you'll see me in just a second. Okay, folks, it's been a few hours, but I am back from being out. I did reapply my lipstick because we went out to dinner and it was like kind of gone. You're going to notice that this area here is like kind of missing some makeup. That's because I was wearing my glasses, and if you wear glasses, you know the struggle. If you don't judge. Anyway, we're moving on now to Jade. She's the green female ninja, and she is in the story an Edenian, which is what Kitana is. They're like these heavenly sort of humanoid beings, but they like live for a really, really long time, and they're really beautiful, and I don't know, they have like mystical abilities. She is Kitana's bodyguard and best friend. Her abilities, I don't know, she doesn't necessarily have any like particular powers, but she has like a pole that she uses, and that's like her weapon. And she also has, I forget what they're called, glaives? Are they called glaives? I think she has glaives, and they like glow pink, and the rod that she uses glows pink. So I kind of have an idea of what I want to do for this color story. Let's start with this palette here. I'm gonna swatch this shade called Shamrock because I kind of feel like this might be our primary shade for this look, or not for this look, for this color story. I feel like that kind of gives me Jade vibes. And, you know, we want this to be different from the reptile color story that I did in the last video. In his color story, we used this actually darker shade over here called Forest, right? Forest? Oh no, Pine. It's called Pine. So I don't want to do anything too similar to that color story. I also used 2 multi-chromes in his color story. We're not going to do that today. But I did pull out this palette, the Break the Rules palette, and I was looking at this shade here. It's called Eager for More. It kind of shifts a little bit, a little like kind of blue-green. But, I mean, look at that. It's so shiny and so beautiful. Let me see. I probably can't get it on camera, but yeah, it turns a little bit blue when it shifts. That one's in the running. Do I sound like I have a stuffy nose all of a sudden? I better not be sick. I swear to God, you guys. I also just swatched this shade here from the Earthy palette. It's called Pixie. That one. But I think I want to go into the Absinthe palette from BH. Those bottom 2 shades are from the BH palette. I also wanted to swatch some things from this palette. This is the Sorcerer palette from Fantasy Cosmetica. I wanted to swatch this here. That's so funny because on camera this looks so green, but I'm looking at it and it just looks like blue. And then this one looks blue on camera, but I look at it and it's like super green. See, the reason that I wanted to maybe do this one is because it looks so blue on camera. Oh no, maybe this won't work then. But like what I'm seeing is more like this, where it's like green and a little bit gold. I can't make it show up that way on camera though. It's a beautiful multi-chrome though. Damn. I don't think that's gonna work though. Now I'm super tempted to just test this one. This one's giving me like purple and blue and green. Oh, I should tell you the names of these, right? Okay, wow, that's really, really pretty. I'm not gonna use these because they're not, I don't want any blue. I've got enough blue going on in these color stories. But that one is called Illusion. And then the one that I swatched over here is called Polymorph. I'm just going to take swatches of the other 2 like pinky shimmers from this palette. So like this one and this one. I think that this one, the lower one, is again giving too much of that blue quality. I think that this one is kind of maybe going to be better for what I'm trying to do. But I want to bring that pink into the color story to represent her weapons and the weird mystical aura that emanates from them. You know what? I'm going to take, what color? Shamrock from this palette, and I'm just going to swatch it right on my arm because I feel like I've basically decided that that's going into the color story. Okay, so there's Shamrock. Then I'm going to take the shade from Break the Rules, Eager for More, which is this really high shine, super creamy green shimmer. I like that. You know what I just realized? I did not grab my Sweet Shop palettes for this. So my Sweet Shop palettes are not in front of me. That's kind of a bummer. Whatever, it's fine. I have so many I have so many palettes in front of me right now. I don't specifically need to have the Sweet Shop palettes in front of me. But I'm just thinking that that pistachio palette is super nice. And maybe I should have taken a shade out of there. It's okay. So we have our 2 green shades. I want to switch it up though. I want the other 2 shades to not be green. Again, trying to avoid being super monochromatic for this set of 4 color stories. I just took off my ring because I'm making such a mess out of myself. This is my ring, by the way. My husband finally got me a ring. Goes with my aesthetic. I think I want to swatch some shades from this palette. This is the Berries again. Or do I? I don't want the pink to feel disjointed from the rest of the palette, which is why I'm kind of having a hard time picking a pink, because I don't know what pink will go really nicely with these other shades. You know what? Let's take this one. This is Satin. The shade is called Satin. Satin from Bright 2.0. Huh. I think I swatched this one earlier, right? When we were talking about Melina. I think that I did. It's been a few hours. I don't remember. I mean, it's not the worst thing ever. I feel like I'm overthinking this a little bit. How about we look at some Natasha Denona? Okay, so I just swatched Razzle Dazzle from Circo Loco, but I also swatched, what's the actual name of it? Vision from My Dream palette. And you can't really see on camera, but it does shift to like this beautiful green. Like I can see, oh, maybe you can see it too in this position, but it shifts to like this gorgeous green, and then it's like this pink. I think this might be the one, especially because when it comes to the other matte that I want to use, so we have like that bright green matte, right? The other matte that I want to actually use is going to be a lot more neutral. I think we're going to go with Vision. And so this is the color story so far. I think that that works pretty nicely. What do you think? So what I wanted to do for the last matte for this palette, I didn't want to excruciate over which shade exactly I should go with for this, but I knew that I wanted to go with a brown. In the original game, she had more brown skin. I think that the actress who played her was the same actress who played Melina and Katana, but they did something that made her look like she had darker skin. So I kind of went for my most neutral palette. Actually, I also looked at Naughty Nude from Huda, but I didn't want to go too crazy thinking about it. I think I'm just going to stick with this shade here. What is the name of it? Terra. It's a dark brown. I don't want to say that it's like a skin colored brown, because you could have all kinds of shades of brown for skin tones. But I mean, I feel like that kind of looks like what her skin looked like, at least in the original rendition. I also want to take this slightly deeper one called Volcano. I feel like this one, I mean, in terms of a color story, this one might work a little bit better because it is a little bit deeper. What do we think? Do we want the much deeper one? See, this is what I didn't want to do. I didn't want to excruciate over browns. But I mean, without getting too crazy over the minute differences between these, you know what? Maybe just for the sake of this being a cohesive color story, I actually think I'm going to go with the deeper one. So I'm going to go with Volcano. I think that that feels like the right move. What do you think? And like this shade here also shifts to like a neutral, like a golden neutral. So I think that will go nicely with the deep brown as well. I'm trying to think if she was darker skinned in 2 as well. I can't really remember, but that always stood out to me in 3, that she was like the more dark skinned girl. But then in later games, she like lost that. Like she didn't really look like that anymore. And then they just kind of brought it back in the most recent installment in the series, which I don't know what happened in the meantime. But anyway, that's it for the female palette swap ninjas. Let's go into the last color story that we're going to do for this video, which is for the second Sub-Zero, Kuai Liang. As I said before, I gave his brother a bit of a darker color story because he's a darker character, but I want to give Kuai Liang a little bit more of a lighter, softer blue color story. And I actually want to give him more kind of like icy, snowy vibes. Let's start by swatching 1 or 2 shades from Midnight. I'm taking Elixir and Sea. I'm definitely leaning towards this, but I want to pop open a ColourPop palette too. I'm going to swatch Starry Eyed and Moonlight from the Blue Moon palette from ColourPop. I actually really like Starry Eyed, this one here. I think that one has a little bit more blue to it than, what was it called? Elixir. I know that might sound a little silly because they probably look super duper similar to you guys, but like in person, next to Starry Eyed, Elixir actually looks a little bit more like greenish, kind of like teal. Not significantly or anything, but it feels like the one in this palette is a more true blue. Let's also go back into the Sub-Zero palette. I'm going to take both of these mattes, this one and this one, Totally Numb and Cold Blooded. Look at how intensely blue that is. And then this one is very soft. It's similar to the other shades that I swatched. It's very similar to Starry Eyed, the one that I liked from the ColourPop palette, but it's actually a little bit more, it has a little bit more of a white base, so I think I'm gonna go with Starry Eyed. Okay, so there's that. I also just went in and swatched a couple of shimmer shades. This top one is from Blue Moon. It's called Tide Pool. And then this one here is actually from On Cloud Blue, another ColourPop palette, and it's called Airtime. I actually really like that one. It's very much, it reminds me of Sub-Zero's suit, whatever, that he wears. Before I make a final decision though, I have to take a look at this palette again. This is Midnight. Okay, that is really nice. That is a shade called Sky from Midnight. I don't know if I like it better than this, but it does have like this gorgeous sheen to it. It's almost too like pale though, like in terms of like the actual color. I think this one from On Cloud Blue is my favorite. Okay, so running the risk of going a little bit too monochromatic, this is where we are so far with the color story. I just swatched this one from Natasha Denona Circo Loco. I mean, it's blue, but it's like almost silver. It's called Snow Cone. It's this one up here. And it's super shiny. But I did also want to check out this palette. This is Blow and Smoke from ColourPop. And this shadow in the middle here, I love this shadow. This one's called Starstruck. So this one is an almost white, kind of silver shade. See how similar it is to Snow Cone? Ooh. I really don't know. I honestly do not know. I'm gonna go with the Natasha Denona shadow. The other two shadows that I use for this color story are ColourPop, and even though I don't want to go completely monochromatic, I just feel like the Natasha Denona one just is gonna go just a little bit better with this color story. But the real question now is, what am I gonna do for deepening up shade? Okay, I'm feeling overwhelmed now because I just swatched all these. My hand is like turning into a Smurf. I don't necessarily, how am I going to do this? I don't necessarily love the way that any of these look in relation to this color story, but I feel like I just need a nice true blue to go with this and just kind of deepen it up a little bit. And I am kind of sticking with the monochromatic idea now because that's just kind of how this has turned out, right? There's not really anything else that I can do. I thought about maybe putting a gray, but I thought that would dull the blue too much. I don't want to dull the blue. Okay, decisions. I'm just going to choose this one down here called Social. Okay, I hope that was the right decision. To finish rounding out this color story. I don't really know. So these two here are from the Sub-Zero palette, and now that I'm looking at this, I think this one here, I know it's not the deepest shadow ever, but it would deepen this up. Maybe not a ton, but I feel like maybe this is the most appropriate one. Now I gotta wipe this thing off my arm. Mistakes were made, I can admit that. I'm starting to rush because I'm like physically exhausted from doing this. I am now completely, well, I was anyway, completely covered in eyeshadow. I just went and washed myself off at the sink in the bathroom. I noticed that my eyeshadow was creased as hell, so I kind of like dabbed that out a little bit. Now I'm going to try to very gently and carefully remove this swatch without removing any of the other shadow. Okay, there you have it, folks. The shade Totally Numb from the Sub-Zero palette by BH. Now that I'm looking at it on my arm, it doesn't even look that different from the shade that I had on there before. So please feel free to tell me what you think of these color stories. Tell me what you would have done differently. Tell me if you think that these rock or if you think that they suck. And I will be doing the palette swap ninjas from the third game. I don't know when. See, the thing is, I'm filming this Friday. This video is going up Wednesday, which is unusual for me. Usually I film my Wednesday video not on Friday. Usually my Friday video is the video I film on Friday is my Sunday video. But because I still have one more day to go of this 1 week, 1 palette, 7 looks, 1 palette, whatever the hell, I can't do my final thoughts on that until I have done my last look. So, yeah. Anyway, I definitely hope that you enjoyed. I will be seeing you guys again on Sunday, right? I'm so out of whack because I'm filming everything so out of order. So this is going up on Wednesday. I will see you on Sunday. Don't know yet what that video is going to be because it's too far in advance for me to even comprehend that right now. But yeah. Tune in next time. I do hope that you have a great week. And yeah, I'll be seeing you soon. Bye.